My name's Katie, 33F, and I live with my husband Tyler, 35M, in upstate New York. We bought our first home 3 years ago, a charming, slightly run-down bungalow with potential written all over it. From day one, we agreed we'd renovate room by room. We started with the bedroom, then the living room. The kitchen was next. We created a shared savings account labeled Reno Fund. We both contributed a fixed amount monthly. Tyler's a software engineer and I work in marketing. Not rich, but comfortable enough to plan ahead. Then, the money started disappearing. At first, I thought maybe he'd moved some into a personal account by accident. I asked him about it, lightheartedly. "Hey, babe," I said, "did you maybe transfer some funds out of the Reno account? We're a little short." He blinked at me. "No, that's weird. Maybe it's a bank error?" "Okay. It happens." I watched it for the next few weeks. Every time we hit a certain threshold, $7,000 or $8,000, poof. Gone. Like the savings had a leak. I started taking screenshots. Making spreadsheets. I didn't want to be paranoid, but I've learned that gut feelings are rarely wrong. The fourth time it happened, I confronted him. Hard. "Tyler. I'm not crazy. Look at this," I said, turning my laptop to show him the transfers. He stared at the screen like it was in another language. Then sighed. And then he confessed. "I've been helping my mom." I blinked. "Helping her how?" "She's been struggling, Katie. Emotionally. And with bills. Her rent's gone up, her car needed repairs, and her meds aren't cheap. She said she didn't know what else to do." "How much?" I asked, my voice like ice. He hesitated. "Just a little at first. Then, more. I didn't think you'd understand. It's my mom, Katie." "How much?" "About $18,000 total." I sat back, heart racing. "You gave her $18,000? That was our kitchen money, Tyler. She needed it. And besides, this is temporary. We can save it again." I was shaking. Not from anger yet, but from betrayal. "Why didn't you tell me?" He folded his arms, like he was the one being accused. "Because I knew you'd react like this. You've always had issues with her." That part was true. His mom, Debbie, is a piece of work. Emotional blackmailer, queen of guilt trips, and permanently helpless. Everything's a crisis. Every phone call ends with a sigh or a sob. I'd learned to keep my distance. Still, Tyler's next words were the ones that lit the fire under my ribs. "You just don't get it. Helping her, it's sacred, Katie. She's my mother." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Sacred? You know what was sacred? Our agreement. Our savings. Our plan. She's blood. You're being cold." I didn't say what I wanted to say. "She may be your blood, but I'm your wife." Instead, I nodded slowly, stood up, and left the room. He didn't follow me. The thing is, I could have handled it if he'd told me. If we'd agreed to help her together. But instead, he drained our future to fix her present. Behind my back. And that's when I knew, if trust is sacred, too, then he broke something holy. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake thinking about the shelves we wouldn't build, the lights we wouldn't install, the future we wouldn't cook dinner in. And then, somewhere around 3 a.m., I looked across the room at the giant glass display case Tyler had always refused to let me touch. His collection. Rows and rows of vintage figurines, rare editions of console games, mint-condition collectibles from franchises I didn't even know the names of. He called it his vault. He dusted them weekly. Some were worth hundreds. Others, thousands. He never sold a single one. Not even when we were scraping during COVID. He always said, "They're a piece of me." And just like that, something snapped. I whispered to myself, maybe it's time you lost a piece of you, too. For the next 2 days, I didn't say much. I didn't scream, cry, or even argue. I just watched. Observed. Studied his routines like a scientist documenting a subject in the wild. Tyler went to work as usual, gaming headset hanging around his neck, sipping his energy drink, kissing me on the forehead like he hadn't burned $18,000 of our dreams behind my back. I smiled back each time. Polite. Measured. Silent. He thought we were fine. He thought I was cooling off. And that was fine with me. He could live in that illusion while I worked in silence. First, I cataloged his collection. I took photos, front, back, serial numbers. I made an Excel sheet, item by item. There were over 200 pieces, action figures, limited edition Funko Pops, unopened game cartridges from the 90s, pristine steelbooks, signed collector's editions of RPGs I couldn't pronounce. Then I researched. eBay, Reddit, collectors forums, Facebook groups. Turns out, Tyler's vault was a nerd's wet dream and a reseller's goldmine. Some of the pieces were worth far more than I'd guessed. One of the rare Final Fantasy figurines alone fetched $850 last month. His Earthbound SNES cartridge? Over $1,000. And the sealed Pokémon Red he kept in a plastic display case like it was the Hope Diamond? $2,000 easy. By Thursday, I had a strategy. I wouldn't do it recklessly. I wouldn't just dump it all in a garage sale. I wanted surgical precision, maximum payout, minimum suspicion. So I made a second eBay account using an old email. I listed the items slowly, 5 or 6 a day, pricing them just below market value for fast sales. By Friday night, the offers were rolling in. The inbox was lighting up like Vegas. That weekend, I told Tyler I was going to visit my sister, Amanda, in Jersey. He didn't even question it. Just mumbled something about needing to grind levels in some game with his buddies and told me to bring back coffee from that place he liked. I kissed his cheek. Of course, baby. What I actually did, rented a storage unit. Packed 3 boxes of his rarest, most valuable pieces. Then, I spent 6 hours shipping everything that had sold so far. Dozens of padded boxes. Bubble wrap. Fragile stickers. I wore gloves and a hoodie like I was handling stolen diamonds. By the time I returned Sunday night, I had transferred $7,200 into a private savings account with my name only. A little moral recovery fund, if you will. He didn't even notice anything was missing. That's the insane part. The display case still looked full from a glance, just missing a few rotated out figures. He'd moved them before. Swapped things around. Cleaned. Curated. I used his own habits as cover. Over the next 3 weeks, I kept it up. List. Sell. Ship. Transfer. Smile. Repeat. By the end of the month, I had cleared $15,400 and counting. Still not even halfway through the collection. And every time I saw his mom's name on our bank statements, every time he said, "I'm just doing what's right," I smiled a little wider. You see, he had been sneaky. Self-righteous. He stole from us in the name of sacred duty. He said I wouldn't understand. Well, now he wouldn't understand either. Then came the morning it all broke loose. I was in the kitchen, sipping coffee, scrolling through offers, when I heard it. Katie. I almost choked on my drink. He stormed in holding one of the empty collectible boxes. Where the hell is my Sephiroth statue? It was right here, next to the Xenogears bust. I blinked innocently. What do you mean? It's gone. And the Earthbound card is missing. And the GBA boxed set, half my stuff is gone. I sipped my coffee. Weird. He was pacing now, frantic, rifling through his collection like a raccoon in a panic. Did you move it? Did you touch it? I mean, I said, stretching lazily, I figured since you had no problem giving our money to your mom without asking, you wouldn't mind if I made some withdrawals too. He froze. Jaw dropped. What are you talking about? I stood, walked over to him, and smiled. I sold your collection, Tyler. He looked like I'd slapped him with a brick. You what? Are you insane? Do you know what some of that stuff was worth? Oh, I know, I said sweetly. I made spreadsheets. I'm actually a great reseller. He sputtered, hands flailing. You had no right. That's mine. You can't just sell my stuff like that. Like how you had no right to give our renovation fund to your emotional leech of a mother? Don't you dare talk about her like that. I shrugged. Then don't talk about my money like it's yours to give away. His face turned purple. You're ing evil, he spat. I leaned in, whispered right in his ear. And you said helping her was sacred. Tyler didn't sleep that night. He paced. He slammed cabinets. He stared blankly at the empty display case like someone had gutted a shrine. Meanwhile, I curled up on the couch with a glass of red wine and my Kindle, like it was just another Tuesday. I didn't flinch when he yelled. I didn't answer when he demanded I tell him where the rest of the collection was. I'd already changed the password on the email I used for sales, rerouted the funds to a private online bank, and cleared the last few packages from the post office box I rented. He had nothing but dust and memory left. Around 2 a.m., he sat down across from me, silent for once. You destroyed something sacred to me, he said finally. I didn't even look up. That makes two of us. He clenched his jaw. This isn't the same. No, I agreed, it's not. Because I didn't go behind your back to fund someone else's constant crisis. She's my mother, Katie. And I'm your wife, Tyler. You stole from me. Lied. Gaslit. Do you get that yet? He didn't answer. Just stared into space like he was rewinding every interaction he thought he understood. The next morning, he called Debbie. I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I caught fragments, whining, blame-shifting, guilt-ridden sobs. The classics. I told you not to ask for so much, he hissed into the phone. You said you'd pay it back. Now everything's ed. I almost laughed. The irony. She'd played him like a violin for years. The depression. The bills. The vague allusions to being so alone. Debbie never called just to chat. She called to pull. Always pulling. And Tyler, soft-hearted, guilt-warped Tyler, always answered. After the call, he looked at me like I'd kicked a puppy. She's devastated. She should be. She helped ruin our marriage. He flinched at that, but didn't deny it. Later that week, he brought up counseling. Katie, please. Let's just talk to someone. Work this out. You can't just throw everything away. I raised an eyebrow. You did that the minute you funneled our future into her pity party. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Over and over again. He tried flowers. A dinner reservation. An apology card with a sad cartoon bear holding a heart. As if that would plug the $18,000 hole he drilled into our trust. I ignored all of it. But Debbie? Oh, she wasn't done. She called me. Yes, she actually called me. Her voice was trembling, laced with just the right amount of martyrdom. Hi, Katie. I just want to say, I never meant for any of this to happen. Tyler loves you so much. He's just been stretched thin, and I didn't think you'd mind helping. You've always been so strong. I nearly threw the phone into the wall. Instead, I exhaled slowly and said, Debbie. Let me be perfectly clear. If you call me again, I'll send you an invoice with interest. And a copy of our divorce papers. She gasped like I'd threatened to drown her kittens. You wouldn't. I hung up. The next morning, Tyler found his empty display cabinet boxed up in the garage. I left a sticky note on it. You can take this with you. Consider it the only piece I didn't sell. By the end of the week, he was sleeping at a buddy's place, Aaron, his raid partner and occasional drinking bro. He texted me twice. Once to say I miss you. Once to ask if I could stop telling people what happened. I didn't respond to either. But I did post on Reddit. Under a burner account, of course. One he'd never trace. I laid it all out, the fund, the lies, the betrayal, the collection, the revenge. The comments section blew up. Thousands of responses. And you know what? The vote was unanimous. NTA. Not. The. Asshole. People said I was petty in the most righteous way. That I turned passive aggression into an art form. That Tyler played a game, and I just beat him at it. But the best comment? Girl, you didn't sell his collection. You exchanged it, one sacred object for another. You gave him his mother back and took your sanity with you. Fair trade. I liked that one. A lot. Tyler came back after 10 days. Not with luggage, not with flowers. With a folder. We sat at opposite ends of the dining table, a chasm of betrayal and silence between us. He looked like he hadn't slept. His hair was unwashed, beard patchy, eyes rimmed red. I, on the other hand, looked immaculate. Crisp blouse. Fresh nails. I wasn't playing grief-stricken wife anymore. I was a woman with a war chest and a spreadsheet of eBay receipts. He slid the folder across the table. What's this? I asked, not touching it. It's a proposal, he said, voice low. For a repayment plan. For everything I took. I stared at him. You're serious? He nodded. I'll transfer money from my stock options. I'll take a loan against my car if I have to. I'll even pull from my 401k. I want to fix this. I opened the folder. Typed paragraphs. Interest percentages. Signatures lines. It was meticulous, almost desperate. Tyler had built a contract for redemption. But I didn't feel anything. Not sympathy. Not anger. Just done. You really think this is about the money? I said finally. He hesitated. Isn't it? I closed the folder gently. You think repaying me turns back time? You think that rebuilds trust? I'm trying, he muttered. No, Tyler. You're reacting. You only try when the consequences slap you across the face. Not when you're making the choice. He flinched. So what now? You want a divorce? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I got up, walked to the kitchen, and opened the cabinet above the fridge, where I had tucked away the last piece of his collection I hadn't sold yet. The Master Sword replica. Full-sized. Solid steel. Engraved hilt. Custom display stand. He'd waited 2 years for the pre-order to ship. Paid nearly $1,200 for it. I placed it on the table in front of him like a final offering. This was the only thing I couldn't bring myself to sell, I said. He reached for it. I didn't let go. Our eyes locked. I wanted to burn it, I said quietly. But I figured you'd already set fire to enough. And then I let it go. He looked down at it, silent. That sword was sacred to me, he whispered. Sacred, I repeated. You keep using that word like it means something to only you. He swallowed. So that's it? No, I said. Here's the deal. I'm not filing for divorce. Yet. He looked up, hope flaring in his eyes. I'm separating our accounts. You're moving back into the guest room. You're cutting your mom off, completely. And we start counseling. Real counseling. Not some $40 app. And if I do all that? Then maybe, I said, I'll start seeing you again as a partner instead of a liability. He nodded slowly. Okay. Okay. That's fair. But even as he said it, I knew he didn't fully understand what had broken between us. It wasn't just about the money. It was about alignment. Loyalty. Emotional weight. He gave our future away to someone who weaponized sadness and called it love. He thought he was being a good son. But he forgot he was supposed to be a husband first. Weeks passed. Counseling started. The therapist's name was Bree, mid-40s, sharp-eyed, with a voice like warm velvet and the patience of a saint. She asked questions. Listened. Probed. Tyler talked about guilt. About how Debbie had raised him alone, how she used to cry herself to sleep after his dad left. About how saving her made him feel like a man. I listened. I nodded. But when Bree turned to me, I didn't talk about trauma. I talked about math. How many years, I asked, am I supposed to wait while he hemorrhages our savings to an emotional parasite? Bree flinched at the word. Tyler winced. I didn't care. She's not dying. She's not disabled. She's manipulative. And he's her oxygen tank. Bree was silent for a beat. Then said, that's a powerful metaphor. Tyler didn't say anything for the rest of the session. When we got home, he slept on the eBay account was still active. I'd sold off 3 more rare figures that week. My moral recovery fund had now grown to $19,480. I planned to use some of it for the kitchen. The rest? That was mine. By mid-June, our house felt more like a Cold War museum than a marriage. The guest room door stayed closed. The kitchen was half demolished, no renovations yet, just reminders. Gutted cabinets. Unpainted drywall. A single exposed pipe under the sink, like a surgical scar across the room. Tyler tiptoed through our shared life like a man on parole. He followed all the terms, separate finances, counseling every Thursday, not a single dollar to Debbie. He even blocked her on Facebook. She made 3 new accounts and messaged me directly. I didn't respond. I just forwarded them to my lawyer. Yes, my lawyer. But it was all too late. Because when someone breaks something sacred, you don't always glue it back together. Sometimes, you sweep it into a box, tape it shut, and write "Do not open" in big red letters. That's where I was. That box. Then came the moment that told me everything I needed to know. It was a Saturday. I came home from the store, arms full of groceries, and found Tyler in the garage. He was on the phone. Didn't hear me come in. His voice was low, but tense. I froze when I heard him say it. I'm doing what she wants, okay? She's still pissed. I'm trying to get her to trust me again. I didn't need context. I walked into the garage, and he jumped like a kid caught with a cigarette. He hung up fast. Hey, was just ordering parts for the faucet. Who were you talking to? Nobody. I said nothing. Just held up my phone. I had already recorded the last 15 seconds. Just enough. He paled. You were talking to Debbie, I said flatly. No, I wasn't. Tyler. His face crumpled like a beer can. He slumped against the wall and rubbed his eyes. She said she might be getting evicted. I didn't send anything. I swear. But you wanted to. She sounded desperate, Katie. I nodded. Slowly. And you couldn't resist. Just like always. He didn't even argue. Just said, she's my mom. I stared at him. And in that moment, I realized something that took the sting out of everything. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. I didn't love him. Not like I used to. Not the way a wife loves a partner. I loved him like you love a friend who's stuck in a pattern they won't break. A pitying, distant, tired kind of love. And I didn't want to fix him anymore. That night, I emailed my divorce lawyer. The next morning, I made breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast. Like it was any other Sunday. He sat across from me, sipping coffee, looking like hell. I waited until he'd finished eating. Then I pulled the envelope out of my bag and slid it across the table. What's this? He asked. Freedom, I said. Yours and mine. He opened it. His face went pale. You're divorcing me? I'm done, Tyler. He stared at the papers like they were written in fire. After everything? The counseling? The plan? You're just throwing it all away? No, I said calmly. You did. You just haven't caught up to it yet. He slammed his hand on the table. This is insane. We can still fix it. You're just, punishing me forever? I looked at him for a long time. And then I said something that finally broke him. You weren't married to me, Tyler. You were married to your mother. I was just the roommate you occasionally slept with. He stood up so fast his chair fell over. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. I'll give you 2 weeks to move out, I said. Until then, we're done speaking unless it's about logistics. He stared at me like a man looking at a ghost. And I smiled. Because he wasn't sacred anymore. Tyler didn't pack right away. He sulked. He lingered in doorways, sat on the edge of the bed he no longer shared with me, left the TV on too loud like a teenage protest. But the divorce papers sat on the kitchen counter like a holy relic neither of us dared touch again. I'd signed them. He hadn't. Yet. He'd ask small questions, like a man trying to anchor himself to normalcy. Do we still have that pasta pot? Did you cancel the Amazon Prime? Are you taking the espresso machine? And every time, I'd answer in the same, clipped tone, read the list I emailed you. Because yes, I'd made a list. Of assets. Of shared furniture. Of who got what. He kept the gaming chair, his vinyls, his gaming PC, after I deleted the eBay receipts folder from it. I got the car, the espresso machine, and all legal rights to the kitchen renovation budget that I rebuilt with the spoils of his betrayal. I used a clean $20,000 from the resale money to reopen the Reno fund in my name. And I had plans for that kitchen. Big plans. But first, I had to finish watching him disintegrate. He moved slower each day, like a man sinking in his own mess. His face stayed puffy, his shirts unwashed. I think part of him believed I would change my mind. That I'd wake up one morning and say, okay, you were manipulated. I forgive you. Let's start over. But I didn't. Because the truth? I was enjoying the silence. The clarity. The sharp edges of life without his chaos. I got more done in 2 weeks than I had in the last 6 months of our marriage. And then one night, as I was folding laundry in the living room, he came downstairs holding a cardboard box. This is it, he said. I'm out. I nodded. Didn't stand up. Just watched. He looked around the room like he was expecting something. A hug. A goodbye. Some kind of closure. All he got was silence. He shifted awkwardly, clutching the box. I signed the papers. Left them on the counter. Thanks, I said. He lingered a second longer. You gonna be okay? I looked at him like he was a stranger asking about the weather. I already am. That landed. His face twisted, somewhere between regret and resentment. And that's when I stood up and walked over to him. I didn't hug him. I didn't cry. I just leaned in and said, you gave up our future for someone who will always need saving. I gave up your collection for someone who finally stopped needing to be saved. Me. He opened his mouth to reply. Closed it again. Then nodded once. And walked out the door. He moved in with Aaron. I didn't ask where. I forwarded his mail, blocked his mother on everything, and changed the locks. Within the week, I had contractors in the house. They tore up the floor tiles, gutted the dated cabinets, removed the ugly fluorescent lighting. My designer, Lexi, helped me sketch a space that actually looked like me: warm woods, bold copper accents, big farmhouse windows. And you know what? Every single nail they hammered in felt like closure. Tyler called once. Blocked number. Left a voicemail. I get it now. I really do. I hope one day you find someone who puts you first. I didn't delete it. But I never called back. Instead, I played that voicemail the night I had the girls over for dinner in the half-finished kitchen, just to hear how regret sounded when it finally figured out it was too late. They all raised a glass. To closure. To fresh paint. To sacred things that stay sacred. About a month after Tyler left, the house started breathing again. The air felt different, lighter, less charged. No more second-guessing, no more guilt walking past his closed guest room door. It was like I'd performed an exorcism, and instead of holy water, I'd used a PayPal account and a shipping label printer. The new kitchen was halfway done. Lexi and the contractor team were miracle workers. They turned the wreckage into potential: flooring stripped and retiled, cabinets refaced, the island framing installed. Every morning, I'd make coffee and walk through the space barefoot, imagining what it would be like when it was complete. But just as the walls went up, the past came knocking. The certified mail. A fat white envelope, addressed to me in shaky handwriting. The return address? Debbie Caldwell. I stared at it for a good 10 minutes before slicing it open with a bread knife. Inside was a handwritten letter on pale pink stationery decorated with tiny roses. It smelled faintly of powder and desperation. Dear Katie, I know you and Tyler have had your troubles. I never wanted to come between you. I was just struggling. I never had helped before. He wanted to help me. I didn't make him. But now he's gone, and I'm drowning. My rent is overdue, my power might be cut, and I can't even afford groceries. I know you have the money. I know you sold the collection. You've always been so clever. I'm asking as a mother in need. Not for thousands. Just $2,000. Just enough to keep me afloat. Please. Love. Debbie. She'd enclosed a copy of an overdue utility bill and an optional donation slip with her Venmo. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. It was the exact same emotional blackmail I'd seen her play on Tyler for years, but now with a new target. The twist? She respected me enough to beg. Not manipulate through him. No. This time, it was direct. A plea to the woman who gutted her son's shrine and walked away without blinking. I put the letter down and brewed coffee. Then I pulled out a note card and wrote a reply in blocky Sharpie. Debbie. I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore. I'm not your financial plan. Try Etsy. I stuffed it into an envelope, added a $5 Starbucks gift card, and mailed it back. No return call. No follow-up. Just silence. That week, I got a text from Aaron, of all people. Tyler's gamer buddy. The one he'd moved in with after I kicked him out. Aaron, hey Katie. Sorry if this is weird. Just letting you know, Ty moved out. Headed back to his mom's, I think. Not doing great. I stared at the message for a moment, thumb hovering. Then I wrote. Me, thanks for letting me know. Tell him I hope the collection was worth it. He didn't reply. But that night, curiosity got the better of me. I looked up Tyler's old eBay handle, his original one. The one he swore he hadn't touched since I started selling off his stuff. Guess what? It was active again. And there it was. Seeking, Final Fantasy VIII Zell figure, loose or boxed. Will pay top dollar. Nostalgia reasons. He was trying to rebuild. Brick by brick. Piece by piece. Starting over from scratch. A man chasing his sacred again. But the thing about sacred things is, once they've been defiled, they don't come back the same. By Friday, the last tiles were laid. The kitchen was done. I walked barefoot over the new floors, ran my hand along the matte granite counters, flipped the custom copper faucet on and off just for the sound of it. The house was mine again. Not just legally. Spiritually. Lexi handed me a final invoice. I smiled. Paid it in full with moral recovery money. And toasted to the kitchen that betrayal built. There's something poetic about revenge that finishes with soft closed drawers. No more slamming doors. No more passive-aggressive sighs echoing from the other room. Just the satisfying click of a drawer that knows its place. Quiet. Predictable. Obedient. Unlike Tyler. It had been 3 months since I sent him on his way. 3 months since I sold the first figurine and banked my first $1,000 in what I now called, affectionately, the Emotional Damages Fund. Now the kitchen was finished. And I was hosting my first dinner party as a single woman. Lexi came, of course. So did Amanda, my sister, and 2 of my coworkers from marketing, Tina and Raquel. The wine was chilled, the pasta was homemade, the playlist was nothing but Beyoncé and Stevie Nicks. Power and witchcraft, start to finish. Everyone walked through the new kitchen like it was a gallery. You actually did it, Lexi said, sipping Pinot. And on what, revenge and collectibles? I smiled. Mostly resentment. And Pikachu. They laughed. Amanda clinked her glass. To Katie. Who turned betrayal into butcher block countertops. We raised our glasses. And I felt it, deep in my chest, peace. Not just the absence of chaos. But the presence of self. No more emotional overdrafts. No more understanding his latest excuse. No more pretending Debbie's cries weren't always just a few dollars away from reactivating his guilt. Tyler and I didn't speak again. He signed the divorce papers 2 weeks after moving back in with his mom. It came in the mail without a note. Just his signature and the date. I stared at it for a long time before filing it. That was the final click. The last drawer. I saw on social media he tried to sell his PC. Apparently, Debbie's utilities were overdue again. Again. Some people just never learn. And some of us? We finally do. It's been 6 months now. The house is mine. The silence is mine. Even the air feels cleaner. Like I flushed the toxins out with the moldy old backsplash. Sometimes, I walk into the kitchen at midnight, barefoot and alone, and run my hand across the counter just to remind myself. I built this. Not him. Not his money. Not his mother's tears. Me. So. AITA for selling my husband's sacred collection after finding out he gave our renovation fund to his mother? Thousands of people on Reddit said. No, girl. You just performed a sacred rite. And maybe I did. Because this? This isn't a revenge story. This is a restoration story. And the kitchen? It's just the beginning.